famous shop has been serving a much-loved Arabic-style ice cream for decades. But for many Syrians, years of civil war made visiting it impossible, until now. In the wake of Bashar al-Assad's ouster, tens of thousands of Syrians have returned to Damascus. And for some, like Ahmed al-San, visiting the Bagdash ice cream parlor was a priority.
Excellent. I swear to God, I haven't tasted anything like it.
The secret to this beloved dessert, zahlab, a special flour made from orchid roots. The ice cream is pounded by hand with meter-long mallets until it becomes soft and stretchy. Topped with a generous coating of pistachios, it costs just $1. Co-owner Samir Bagdash reopened the shop the day after Assad's fall. It was his way of celebrating the end of a government that oppressed Syrians for decades.
The shop is nearly 130 years old. The shop was established in 1895 by the founder of the shop, who is my grandfather, Hemdi Bagdash. Of course, since 1895, this path was continued by my father. May God have mercy on him, and my uncle too, still present, being very old. Now we are the third generation of the founders of the shop. We are running the store, me, my brother, and my cousins.
He insisted the signature recipe had not changed since his great-grandfather came up with it in 1890.
Long queues form at a Damascus bakery on Wednesday, one of many signs of Syria's critical economic problems. As the new interim Prime Minister, Mohammed al-Bashir, said he wanted to bring back millions of Syrian refugees and provide basic services, but would struggle to without foreign currency. Syria's coffers contain only local pounds worth barely anything, Bashir told Italian newspaper Il Corriere della Sera. Bashir ran a rebel-led government in a tiny pocket of northwestern Syria before the 12-day rebel offensive toppled President Bashar al-Assad. In the capital, banks have reopened, as have shops, and there are fewer armed men about. But rebuilding Syria will be a colossal task, following a civil war that killed hundreds of thousands of people. Abu Abed Nasruddin is a merchant in Damascus.
Activity is very good, but the problem we are facing is the currency we deal with. Some people, all of those coming here from Idlib region, Aleppo and their outskirts, brought Turkish lira or dollars with them, but we don't know how to exchange them, so work has become very slow.
International sanctions on the Assad regime have also gutted the economy. Two senior US congressmen, a Republican and a Democrat, wrote a letter calling for Washington to suspend some sanctions on Syria. The most punishing ones are up for renewal this month, and the former rebels have told Reuters they are in touch with Washington about potentially easing them. Bassel Hamwi, head of the Damascus Chambers of Commerce, told Reuters the new government has told business leaders it will adopt a free market model after decades of state control and integrate Syria into the global financial system.
Najim al-Musa and his family have been glued to the news of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's overthrow in their tiny Athens apartment. Although delighted he is gone, Musa now fears his family will be forced to return to the devastated country they fled in 2015.
My children cannot imagine leaving their friends from school one day, or that they would leave their teachers or their area, or that they would go back to Syria. When we talk, they ask, "Daddy, can we really go back to living in these areas?"
He and his wife spent everything on a 2-year journey that took them to Sudan, Iran, Turkey and eventually Greece. First-time asylum applications by Syrians to the EU were highest in 2015 and 2016. More than 330,000 in each of those years, EU data shows. Applications trebled between 2020 and 2023 after a devastating earthquake and as violence and economic hardship persisted. European countries are now rethinking their asylum policies for Syrians in the light of Assad's downfall. Thousands of applications are now on hold. Musa's Greek residence permit is up for renewal, and the family is worried they will have to go back.
We have no solution but to go back. There's no solution. If they do not renew here, then of course we have to go back to our country. We have no other place to go to.
Thousands of civilians who moved to neighbouring Turkey and Lebanon rushed back into Syria this week, hoping for a peaceful homecoming. Ahmad Abbas, who made Germany home after fleeing 12 years ago, feels an urge to return. But with Syria's future still uncertain, he is unsure if now is the right time.
Maybe someone could say, I'd go back for a week or two. I'll have a look at the country and see if it's okay. Yes, and then if it's okay, then I'll stay. If not, then I'll come back to Germany. Maybe Germany should really send people there, have a look at the country, and then politicians should confirm that the country is really back on its feet. Because right now, there has been no basic law in Syria. Now they have a free country, they want democracy, but I haven't seen any new laws yet.
Hundreds of thousands of people died in Syria's war, which began in 2011 and pitted Assad's army against various rebel groups. Whole cities have been flattened by bombing, the economy is in a dire state, millions fled or are in need of humanitarian assistance.
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol vowed on Thursday to fight to the end, even as his own party shifted closer to vote to impeach him over his short-lived martial law order last week. Yoon's first comment since he apologized for the martial law declaration on Saturday came in the form of a lengthy televised address.
We must prevent the forces and criminal groups that have led the paralysis of government administration and disorder of national constitution from taking over the state administration and threatening the future of the Republic of Korea, no matter what. I will fight to the end.
Yoon went on to claim without evidence that North Korea had hacked South Korea's election commission, throwing doubt on his party's crushing election defeat in April. Yoon also appeared to defend his decision to declare emergency rule in the first place, referring to the opposition Democratic Party, which has blocked some of his proposals as criminal groups that must be stopped from taking over government. Again, Yoon gave no evidence of criminal activity. Yoon is hoping his political allies will rally to his support, but after watching his fiery address Thursday morning, the leader of Yoon's own People Power Party responded that the time had come for the president to resign or be impeached by parliament. Meanwhile, Democratic Party leadership said Yoon's address was a, quote, display of extreme delusion and called on members of the president's ruling party to vote to impeach him. Protests calling for Yoon's impeachment continued in the capital Seoul on Wednesday. A second impeachment vote in parliament is expected on Saturday, a week after the first one failed due to a ruling party boycott. South Korean media reported that another of their lawmakers publicly declared support for impeachment on Thursday, bringing the total number to 7. At least 8 People Power Party lawmakers are needed for the 2/3 majority required to impeach Yoon. Even so, the party remains deeply divided, and Yoon continues to have the backing of many of their lawmakers.
This is not easy for me.
FBI Director Chris Wray said Wednesday he would step down from his job early next year. This comes after President-elect Donald Trump signaled his intent to fire the veteran official and replace him with firebrand Kash Patel. In an all-employee town hall at FBI headquarters, Wray said it was not an easy decision.
After weeks of careful thought, I've decided the right thing for the Bureau is for me to serve until the end of the current administration in January and then step down. My goal is to keep the focus on our mission, on the indispensable work each of you is doing every single day. And in my view, this is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray while reinforcing the values and principles that are so important in how we do our work.
Wray was appointed by Trump to a 10-year term in 2017. His resignation makes him the second straight FBI director driven out by Trump, who during his first term in office fired Wray's predecessor James Comey after souring on him over the FBI's investigation into alleged contacts between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. Trump and his hardline allies turned on Wray after agents conducted a court-approved search of Trump's Florida resort in 2022 to recover classified documents he had retained after leaving office. That led to one of 2 federal prosecutions Trump faced while out of power, neither of which went to trial. Trump denied wrongdoing and described all the cases against him as politically motivated. Federal prosecutors ended their efforts after his election, citing long-standing Justice Department policy not to prosecute a sitting president. On his social media platform Truth Social, Trump called Wray's resignation a great day for America, He added that it will end the weaponization of the Department of Justice. Patel would need to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate to become FBI director. He has never worked at the FBI and has pledged to shut down its headquarters building in Washington and drastically redefine the Bureau's role with intelligence gathering.
South Korean police tried to raid President Yoon Suk-yeol's office on Wednesday as part of an escalating investigation into his decision to declare martial law last week. The country's Yonhap news agency says authorities have not been able to enter the main building, and that Yoon was not believed to be in the compound at the time. A presidential security service official confirmed the raid, though the police have declined to comment. Yoon has not appeared in public since apologising on Saturday for attempting to impose martial law. He faces a criminal investigation into allegations of insurrection and is banned from leaving the country, though he's not been arrested or questioned by authorities. Separately, a Justice Ministry official said Wednesday that former Defence Minister and close ally of Yoon, Kim Yong-hyun, attempted suicide at a detention centre where he's being held on insurrection charges as part of the investigation. He's now under observation and in a stable condition. Kim resigned and apologised for his role in the brief imposition of emergency rule, saying he took full responsibility for the decision.
Big tech firms face paying millions of dollars in fines under new government rules in Australia. That's if they don't pay the country's media companies for news hosted on their platforms. It puts pressure on global tech giants like Facebook owner Meta and Alphabet's Google to pay publishers for content. Stephen Jones is Minister for Financial Services.
The News Bargaining Initiative will be a new addition to that code, which will create a financial incentive for agreement making between digital platforms and news media businesses in Australia.
He added the platforms at risk will be significant social media sites and search engines with an Australian-based revenue over $250 million. Tech companies condemned the plan. Meta said the proposal fails to account for the realities of how their platforms work. They argued most people don't visit their pages for news content, and that news publishers voluntarily choose to post content on their platforms because they receive value for doing so. A spokesperson for Google warned the decision risks the ongoing viability of commercial deals with news publishers in Australia. The proposed new rules come as Australia toughens its approach to the mostly US-based tech giants. Last month it became the first country to ban children under 16 from social media. Canberra also plans to threaten the companies with fines for failing to crack down on scams.